Wolves were probably the weirdest team in the league last season. What should we expect from them this term?
Well, they do have this habit where they can turn it on for the big games and inexplicably really play beneath themselves against lesser opponents. They are a team full of riddles, and perhaps the biggest one of all is that, given Mick McCarthy's playing career, you know, why on earth Wolves fans spend most of their time tearing their hair out about their defence? And Wolves have been very guilty of throwing away countless points with silly goals that they've let in through silly mistakes late on in matches. And I think there has been a big call for Mick to sort out the back four, which he really ought to know a little bit about. Bringing in Roger Johnson obviously is quite an astute purchase on that front. They got him for quite a decent knockdown fee, taking advantage of Birmingham's predicament. And he should be a real addition for them. And apart from anything else that he provides as a player, he's also a bit of a shouter. And I think Wolves are a little bit lacking in terms of organisation in defence and somebody to get them all together. And so I think there's some optimism that he can help in more ways than one. But the final piece of the jigsaw that any Wolves fan, I think, has probably been banging on about for the last 3 years or so is there's some kind of desperation for a new left-back. So whether or not that can be provided before the start of the season remains to be seen. But I think that would certainly relax a little bit of the Wolves fans a bit if they can do that.
Yeah, and if they can achieve some kind of solidity in defence, that will have a knock-on effect for the whole team, because there was a real hapless streak to them last term, which originated in the defence, the knowledge that they could shoot themselves in the foot at any moment, spread to the whole team and seemed to affect confidence a lot. And when they went on a downer, they slid really far. Even in the last match of the season, when they stayed up in wretched fashion, a must-win match, and they were 3-0 down to Blackburn after about 20 minutes.
But I think, as you say about the knock-on effect, that's absolutely right, because quite often Mick wanted to put an extra man in midfield to presumably protect his back four. And what that then meant was there was a little bit lacking up front. And what would be nice is to get a bit more creativity as well as solidity in the midfield, which would enable him to sometimes play with two up front, because on the whole it's been either Kevin Doyle or Stephen Fletcher. And they haven't really had much of a chance to get together as a partnership. And a lot of people would like to see that happen, because they both, you know, they're two good players who can do well in this division, but we haven't seen a lot of them alongside each other, and they haven't really had the chance to gel properly yet. So if he can fix that as well, I think that would really help Wolves to play a different way, in a bit less sort of back on their heels.
They put in so many crosses. They put in more crosses than any other team in the league last season, but too infrequently is there anyone there to get on the end of them. And if Doyle and Fletcher, for example, or Ebanks-Blake played up there on a regular basis, we might get to resolve the Kevin Doyle riddle, which is another one of these riddles in the Wolves team. He's a really admired player for his work rate, for all his link-up play, everything does well, but he just doesn't score enough goals. He did in his first season in the top flight with Reading. Since then he hasn't been prolific. So it would be good if both himself and Fletcher found some kind of groove, and then Wolves would be pretty comfortable this season. Or is that an unwise thing to say?
They could be comfortable, but I think when it comes to it, most Wolves fans would sign up now for just finishing just above that thick black line.
With a few matches to spare.
Yeah.